Labor does have a policy that doesn't recognise the system, the childcare system, as much as a welfare one, but it still does have means tests in place.
Yeah, well, look, what we've said is we want to have a short-term fix because we know that childcare fees are really unaffordable, out-of-pocket expenses are really crippling families. So what we've proposed in the short term is to increase the subsidy up to 90% for our lowest income earners, and also, of course, remove the annual cap, which has been really difficult for a lot of families. That kicks in at about $180,000 combined family income. And we've increased the number of families that can receive the childcare subsidy. But long term, what we've said is we want to get the productivity measure to map out a pathway that we can get to 90% universal subsidy for all families, because long term we do want to see this as an essential service, support for families as an essential service, not as a welfare measure.
You do have quite a high cap on it, I'll give you that. It's over $500,000 for a family. That is a very high income family indeed. But if you're sending a message to women in particular, and overwhelmingly childcare still does affect women, do you accept that some people will still decline to go back to work because it's cheaper and easier for them to stay at home, and that really undoes what you're trying to do here, doesn't it?
Well, look, what we have modelled is that our short-term policy will affect and improve things for 97% of families. Well, what has been one of the big barriers has been this annual cap. So if you're in a family that earns $180,000, once you've had $10,000 or just over $10,000 in subsidy, you've got to pay full fees for the rest of the year. That has been a big barrier to a lot of women. And actually, it's not just us, economists and many other groups, including the Business Council of Australia, has identified that measure in itself is what makes the disincentive rate for women to work the fourth and fifth day pretty significant. But look, Laura, in the long term, we want to get to 90% universal subsidy for all families, and that's our aim.
Can I just ask you about the aspiration here and the message that it does send to women? I don't think any woman would ever knock back a pay rise, but you know, sometimes if they got a pay rise at work and they reached this cap or the threshold, it would be a disincentive for them to be taking up childcare or taking the pay rise. I mean, there's still some things in your system that just send the wrong signals, don't they?
Well, look, what we're doing is, first of all, like I said, making some short-term significant improvements. They're improvements that business groups, economists, a range of groups have called for. So we're taking the first initial steps to implement that if we're elected immediately, effectively, as soon as we can. Now, that has a big cost to the budget, and we've been criticised by the Liberal Party. Yeah. They've said that we have been helping too many high-income women, and we've fought back on that. But you know, you have to start somewhere. We're starting with the biggest, removing the biggest disincentives in the system. But long term, we have an aspiration for all families to get 90% subsidy.
Look, I did think it was a bit of a perverse argument with the Liberal Party arguing in question time that you were trying to help out richer women. But look, paid parental leave system, the scheme in place as it is, I think businesses are taking the lead in many ways. What is your policy?
Well, at the moment, our policy is to keep the existing system. Obviously, the Liberal Party did a few years ago say that to get the government scheme and the company scheme was double dipping. We rejected that entirely. That was really outrageous for the government of the day, the Liberal government, to be calling those women double dippers, because they're, of course, putting together both their company scheme and the existing scheme. But, you know, when it comes to paid parental leave, I certainly know that many of my colleagues will be discussing this. Obviously, our policies will be rolled out to before an election.